Hi, welcome back to Tea and Forget-Me-Nots. I'm Rachel and today I'm going to be giving a fresh makeover to this children's bookshelf. Now, it was already pretty cute. It's got some Paddington Bear decoupage squares in the back. However, after a few years of very good use, it needs a bit of a touch-up. And I found the most beautiful woodland animal decoupage paper that I'm going to use for it. And a lovely new green colour as well. So let's give it a fresh makeover and hopefully we'll have a very happy child at the end of it. After a lot of love and care, this bookshelf definitely needs a refresh and an update. It was painted with grey paint and had some Paddington Bear fabric decoupaged to the back. It's worked well for a long time, but it's a bit shabby now. And I've realised over time that the colours are a bit cold, the grey, the light blues and the pinks. So I'm going to give it a much warmer colour and the most beautiful decoupage paper you've ever seen, which will be adorable for a children's nursery bookshelf. The easiest way to apply decoupage to the back of a bookshelf is to remove the backing if possible first. On this one I used a hammer to prise it up carefully, making sure not to break it. It was in 2 panels rather than 1, which makes it a little bit more tricky because you need to line up the paper between the 2 panels, but not a big problem. However, if I'd broken this accidentally whilst removing it, I would have replaced it with just 1 piece of backboard because that would make it a little bit easier. The first thing I did was hammer out the nails that had gone through. I wanted to reuse the nail holes where possible, and then remove the fabric. Because of the glue that I'd used for the fabric the first time, actually for applying the decoupage paper later on, I flipped over the backboard and used the flat surface of the back, which had been painted the light grey of the same bookshelf. Decoupaging on top of a light paint colour like white or light grey just gives you the best chance of seeing the true vibrant colours showing through. If you apply it on top of something like a black or a dark paint, then it will dull the vibrancy of the paper that you put on top of it. It's also much easier to paint or sand when you've got that backing off, so you can get all the way through to the edges of the shelves. I sanded down the surface with a 180 grit sandpaper. I wasn't trying to get down to the original wood or veneer. I wanted to just take the shine off of that top coat of paint. And one of the most important steps to give the piece a really good clean. Now this needed a thorough clean anyway, but the cleaning also helps to remove the sanding dust from the previous step. And a good clean just means that you've got the best chance of the paint sticking nicely on top. I gave it a little while after cleaning to dry before applying the paint, and I used a new for this year paint called English Ivy, which is the most beautiful green colour, which is really going to complement the leaves in the woodland decoupage paper that I'm going to use. If your first coat of paint looks good, then you're probably using too much paint. It should look a little bit rough and ready until you get to, say, 2 or 3 coats of paint. Chalk paint can be quite thick, so it's helpful to mist the brush with some water to help it move around a bit more easily, or even lightly spray the surface that you're painting on top of as well. And this slightly wobbly footage here was filmed by my 3-year-old, so I had to include it because this is their bookshelf, so they're very excited about seeing the work in progress. By coat 3 we had full coverage and it looked really crisp and such a beautiful deep green colour. I was really happy with how it was looking. You need to add a sealer to a chalk paint to give it a good amount of protection. And when sealing darker colours like blacks or dark greys, or in this case I'm going to count this colour as a darkish colour too, it's helpful to mix in a dash of the original paint colour into the sealer. It just minimises streaks in the top coat when you apply it. This will continue to be a very well used bookshelf, so it was important to give it best chance of protection as possible, so I did 3 coats of sealer in total. And you can see from how much I poured in originally to mix it in with that dash of green, and that amount was basically the perfect amount that I needed. Onto the most beautiful woodland nursery decoupage paper. So I have 2 pieces of panels to attach this to. I took a while to work out where I wanted the divide to be between the 2 panels. Did I want it to be in the middle of the deer, in the middle, or move it to the side so you had all of the deer in frame, but then you cut off some of the bear? So it was a little bit of back and forth trying to figure out where I wanted the animal positions to be. The best way to apply this decoupage rice paper is to mist the paper with a spray bottle. So not get it completely wet, but get it damp. And then set it aside for a minute to apply a clear coat to the surface of what you're applying it to. What you need next is a ball of plastic wrap, cling film, saran wrap, that kind of thing. And this is going to be the best tool for you to apply the decoupage paper really smoothly. Because the paper is wet, you have a bit of time to readjust it if you need to lie it down again to get it as flat as possible. And then simply with that plastic wrap in your hand, you can push out from the middle to the edges and it gets rid of any of those wrinkles. The really nice thing about this rice paper is that you can see some of the fibres within the paper anyway. And whilst that is part of the paper, actually it is a bit more forgiving if you do have any wrinkles because it just looks natural. Then finally, when you have your paper all smoothed out and you're happy, you can sand the edges. I did this with a 180 grit sandpaper, slightly diagonally to the paper and the edge, and it just creates a cut line and naturally tears away the paper in a smooth line. Once that's dry, you do a protective coat, again with the clear coat, to give an extra coat of sealer to the paper. Again, it's helpful to hold this to the light to make sure that you've got all the bits of the paper that you want to be protected. And once both panels were dry, I simply reattached them by nailing them back in to the original nail holes. And I made sure to line them up in the original places because I knew that that is where the backing fitted originally. You can see with this close-up of the paper just why I chose the English ivy paint. It looks so beautiful against the leaves of the trees. Really creates a natural looking, really cozy, beautiful, nature-inspired bookshelf. And does the owner of the bookshelf approve of the new look? They said, firstly, that they thought, wow, it was great, and also they wished it was rainbow coloured. So maybe you'll see this again in the future as a rainbow coloured bookshelf, we will see. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Take care, bye! If you'd like to know any more information about any of the products, including that beautiful decoupage paper, I'll leave it linked below so you can find out more about it.